lives. So as many of you know, or you don't know about me, growing up, I've always been a little bit or fascinated with anthropology and archaeology outside of my athletics and those endeavors. That was one of my minor passions and interests, I guess you would say. This was my major at university, but I never pursued it professionally as my focus was always on my athletic endeavors at the time. Throughout this recent journey my family and I have been on, we've gone to some historical biblical sites, but biblical archaeology has not been my focus or my intent of this sojourning. My mission of this journey has been seeking Yah, which starts with the fear of Yah. And I've been learning on this to reverence the Most High El, as we all should. This is just a process of sanctification, okay, working out our salvation in fear and trembling. As the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of wisdom, and the fear of Yahweh is the beginning of knowledge. Remember, guys, knowledge puffs up, but love edifies. So we can have all the knowledge in the world, and many scholars out there do. But if it doesn't happen with fear, it's useless, and it doesn't come out as love. Love is telling the truth, okay? It's loving the truth, okay? The fear of Yahweh is to hate evil, which manifests itself in lies. So during my many months over the last year, I spent many months in Jerusalem, and for the most of our time that we were living in Jerusalem, the flat or the apartment that we stayed at always faced what they now call Mount Zion. My focus, as all of our focus should be, is an eternal one, as the temple that we should seek is the millennial temple, which we will be a part of, and such as we are. We are the temple of the living Elohim. That should be our primary focus. Also, we are searching, as Father Abraham of the faith, he was searching for a city whose builder and maker is Elohim, and we are as well, which is the new Jerusalem, which comes down from heaven. So during my time in Jerusalem, I spent a decent amount of time, as one of my many thoughts that are always going through my mind, of making observations and pondering the works of Dr. Ernest Martin, which has been recently propagated by Bob Cornuke, who I don't endorse, and many others, archaeologists as well, Ron Wyatt and so forth. Okay, again, I don't endorse all of Ron Wyatt's work. I do believe he found the original Mount Sinai, okay, obviously, but there's other works that are undocumented, that are based off of his single witness testimony, okay, and there's no physical evidence. So a lot of his work, his later work in his life, I really reject. To me, claiming that he has a sample of Yeshua's blood sounds to me, when you think about it, it's absolutely preposterous, okay? That Yahweh would allow a man to tamper with that and have the source code to the DNA of the Mashiach. It just doesn't line up. And the fact that it's been over 20 years, never provided that sample, I totally reject that, okay? And people shouldn't be propagating that happened. The blood came down on the mercy seat here on the earth. The copper scroll found in the Dead Sea Scrolls say that the Ark of the Covenant is buried out in Qumran. Okay, a lot different than what Ron Wyatt, I believe the copper scroll more than I believe Ron Wyatt's account. So, getting back to this, sorry for the little side rant there. So, considering the proposal of Dr. Ernest Martin, his theory, and those who are now pushing his theory, after considering the first temple site could not have been built on top of First Temple era buildings, as Leland Jones brought up in our conversation that we had in Jerusalem. He and I had some time together. I consider Leland a brother. He has the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach, and he keeps the 10 commandments of Elohim, and the +1 commandment to love the brethren. And even though that he and I don't agree eschatology or around the end times period of what we're in now, I consider him a brother. We don't. That's a beautiful thing. Our fellowship should always be rooted and grounded in the Mashiach and in his commandments and the truth of his gospel and the truth of who he is. Okay, not in our eschatological viewpoints. Okay, we should not argue over these things. But again, me and him have some pretty big differences as far as the timing of the events that we are currently in today. So Leland made the point, and I already held the same conclusion and hold the same logic that he made, and we are in agreement that you cannot put a First Temple building on top of First Temple era buildings. It has to be to the side of it. It can't be literally on top. You can't use those buildings underneath as a foundation for the temple. So there's no way the First Temple was where Dr. Ernest Martin theorized where it should be. Dr. Ernest Martin's theory is based on the historian Josephus, who was a Gnostic Essenes, and the Gnostic Essenes were not from Qumran, where the righteous Zadok priests were, but rather based in Engedi, which is about 35 kilometers south on the Dead Sea of Qumran. And I used to believe, ignorantly, I had believed that, well, this is a popular thing that keeps getting spread, that the Dead Sea Scrolls were the Essenes, but they were the righteous Zadok priests. Okay, and I'm going to continue to correct myself on that. Also, Josephus was on the Roman payroll. There could have been reasons why Josephus could have given us faulty information regarding these records. Speaking of the Romans, maybe they didn't want the people to know where it was, so the temple would not be rebuilt on. Josephus' records is only one eyewitness, and Dr. Ernest Martin built all of his theory and understanding on Josephus' one eyewitness, but we know according to the Torah there needs to be two eyewitnesses, and we only have records from that period of one. Yes, Maimonides came later, in 1200 or something, and he provided his own understanding of idea of where it was. That's way later after the fact. So considering after my time in Jerusalem, I'd like to present a new probability to the general site of the Temple Mount. Though this site has been presented by others, I want to use the scriptures, Tanakh, to support my theory. If my theory becomes fact, I give all credit and praise to the Most High, because it would have come through his spirit of truth, which brings forth the wisdom and understanding to understand these matters. And I believe that the wisdom and understanding is in the form of literal measurements and directions to locate the general location of the temple. And those measurements and directions I believe to be the Psalms of Ascent. So Psalms 120 to 134. There's a total of 15 Psalms there, and they were grouped together and called the Psalms of Ascent, which means that they would be read as you ascend up to this site. What space? The space that David purchased from Ornan the Jebusite, his threshing floor, and where Solomon would build the temple, and where the Ark of the Covenant would later be relocated to, because it was in the city of David, I believe. And every time after that, David, the angel of Yahweh, instructed David to get Ornan's threshing floor and to make sacrifice to him. I believe that ever since then, that's where David later went to go seek Yahweh and to worship Yahweh. This video is going to be the first video of a series of videos where I will present the possibility and what I now strongly believe to be the probability for the true site of the Temple Mount. In later videos, I'll provide more information and to try to narrow our focus on the actual site itself. But right now in this video, we're looking for the general vicinity of where the temple would have been built. Again, I can't emphasize enough that the earthly, I'm not seeking the earthly temple, but rather the coming millennial temple, of which we are all a part of and are, if we are his. So I look forward to the comments in this video. I hope you guys look forward to this video series that I'll be producing, and I'll be rolling out, pieces of this as we go. And again, I'm not a great video producer or editor, but I believe that I'm just going to share with you my observations and my theories and the wisdom and understanding I believe that the Ruach gave me to support a theory for a different site, a site that some people believe to be the true site, and hopefully I could provide even a stronger case for that. So regarding the measurements or the directions, the measurement of length. The measurement of length can be in the form of distance, but also a measurement can also be in the form of time. And the measurement of time is going to be the Psalms of Ascent, how much time it takes to read the Psalms of Ascent, starting at David's palace in the city of David. And when we read it, that will give us an idea on where the end or where the temple site, the site that David purchased, should be. So I hope again you enjoy this series, and I look forward to the comments here and searching out the temple site, but of course, as always, searching out the millennial temple, the temple that we are a part of and that we are. We are the temple of the living Elohim. I hope you enjoy.